The words slipped from her lips like a breath she didn't know she was holding. "Dad?" For a moment, Aaron Blake thought he had misheard. The word didn't belong to him. It belonged to another man, one whose face he had seen only once through the trembling haze of fear and gun smoke 10 years earlier. Yet there she stood now, in her blue graduation gown, brown eyes bright with tears, calling out to him. And with that single word, the past came flooding back. Welcome to Shadows of Justice, where crime meets compassion. If you are new here, don't forget to hit the subscribe button, like, comment, and share. For returning viewers, thanks for sticking to the channel. Aaron Blake had never imagined himself a killer. He was 28 years old, working nights at a corner grocery store in a rough neighborhood, saving for a better life that always seemed one paycheck away. He wasn't brave, just tired, lonely, and scared. 2 weeks before it happened, the store owner had been beaten during a robbery. Desperate, the man had pressed a revolver into Aaron's hand before his next shift. "Just in case," he'd said. "You see trouble coming, you warn them off." But fear doesn't reason, it festers. That night, rain slicked the streets, drumming softly against the cracked windows. The bell above the door chimed. A young man entered, hood up, hands deep in his pocket. Aaron's pulse jumped. The memory of the last robbery flashed through his mind, the shouting, the blood, the helplessness. "Evening," Aaron called nervously. The young man didn't respond, just drifted down the aisle toward the counter. Aaron's voice trembled. "Hands where I can see them." The stranger stopped, blinking. "What?" "Don't move." Aaron's hand went to the gun. He couldn't hear his own heartbeat over the ringing in his ears. The young man's right hand shifted, sliding from his pocket, and Aaron saw it then, a gun. At least, he thought he did. He fired once. The sound split the world in half. The young man, Miguel Santos, 19, a college hopeful and new father, fell to the floor. His phone, the one he had been reaching for, slid from his hand, its screen cracked but still glowing faintly. Blood pooled beneath the shelves of candy. The door burst open. A woman's scream pierced through Aaron's shock. "Miguel!" She ran to the boy, slipping in his blood, cradling him against her chest. "We have a baby!" she cried. "Please, somebody help!" Aaron could only whisper, "I thought he had a gun. I thought—" But fear had already done its damage. The trial was slow and merciless. The world outside debated whether Aaron Blake was a murderer or just another man trapped by fear. The footage showed no weapon, only panic, a hoodie, and one fatal mistake. Luna Santos, Miguel's girlfriend, sat in the front row every day. She held their infant daughter in her lap, eyes swollen from crying. When the judge read the verdict, guilty of manslaughter, Rosa felt no triumph, only a dull ache. Miguel was still gone. Justice, in the end, felt like an echo. Aaron didn't fight the verdict. He didn't beg for mercy. As the cuffs clipped around his wrists, he turned once more toward Rosa. In her arms, the baby stirred, tiny, innocent, unknowing. Aaron thought, "I killed her future before she ever had one." Prison didn't harden Aaron, it hollowed him out. For months he replayed that night over and over, every sound, every breath, every wrong decision. He sat through anger management and therapy sessions, nodding, but it was the restorative justice circle that broke something open inside him. Darius, the counselor, asked hard questions. "You thought he had a gun. Why? Would you have thought that if he were white or wearing a suit?" Aaron couldn't answer. He began to understand that the fear that pulled the trigger hadn't been born in that store. It had been built by news stories, whispers, stereotypes. Brick by brick, it had built a wall between him and the truth. That realization shattered him. One night he wrote 2 letters, one to Miguel and one to Miguel's daughter, whom he only knew as Little One. He confessed everything: the fear, the mistake, the guilt. He didn't ask for forgiveness. He didn't deserve it. He asked only that his life, whatever was left of it, could somehow be used to make fewer people afraid. The prison chaplain sent the letters. Months passed. There was no reply. Aaron didn't expect one. When he was released after 10 years, the world had changed. Stores now had digital locks, cameras, and card-only payments. But inside him, time had stopped the night Miguel fell. He worked at a small mechanic garage, fixing cars, sweeping floors, living quietly. The men liked him. He was kind, efficient, always early, but no one really knew him. At night, he volunteered at community meetings about violence and fear. He didn't introduce himself as the shooter. He said simply, "My name's Aaron, and I made a mistake that cost someone's life." Tanisha Moore, the program director, saw something in him.
"You're not just helping others," she said. "You're learning how to forgive yourself." But Aaron shook his head. "Forgiveness is a luxury. I just don't want anyone else to do what I did." A year later, Tanisha asked him to speak at a high school assembly. "It's a youth program on fear and violence," she said. "They'll listen to you." Aaron agreed, though his hands shook when he stood at the podium. He told the story, not as a lecture, but as a confession. "I thought I saw a weapon," he said quietly. "I saw a threat instead of a person. I was wrong, and because of that, a young man is gone. Every day I wake up knowing that fear, my fear, took someone's father away." Among the hundreds of students listening that morning sat a young woman in the back row, her brown hair falling over her face, her hands clenched tight. Her name was Luna Santos, Miguel's daughter. When the assembly ended, Luna walked straight to him. He recognized her instantly, her father's eyes, her mother's strength. "You're Aaron Blake," she said, voice trembling. "Yes," he said carefully. "And you are?" "I'm Luna Santos, Miguel's daughter." The color drained from his face. She didn't yell, she didn't cry. Her voice was calm, sharp, deadly honest. "You took my father. You destroyed my mother. You stole every memory I'll never have." Aaron swallowed hard. "I know." "No, you don't," she snapped. "You think you understand, but you go home at night. You get to breathe, to work, to live. My father doesn't." He nodded. "You're right. I can't change that. But if you ever want to talk, to ask questions, to hate me in person instead of in silence, I'll be there." She didn't answer, but she didn't say no. Weeks passed before Luna told her mother. Rosa froze when she heard the name. "You saw him?" "I didn't just see him. I heard him. He wasn't making excuses, Mom. He was broken." Rosa's first instinct was to protect her daughter from reopening old wounds, but something in Luna's eyes, the need to understand, made her hesitate. A month later, Rosa made a call. "This is Rosa Santos," she said softly. "I want to join one of your restorative circles." The first meeting was in a church basement. Tanisha sat with them, gently guiding the conversation. Aaron entered quietly, eyes down, every step heavy. Rosa spoke first, her words sharp and shaking. She told him about the knock on the door that changed her life, about raising a baby alone, about how she'd burned his letters without reading them. "You didn't just kill Miguel, you killed every version of our life that had him in it." Aaron bowed his head. "You're right, I took that from you." Then Luna spoke. "Do you think you're a racist?" she asked suddenly. Aaron's eyes lifted, full of pain. "I think I let fear decide who was dangerous, and that fear looked a lot like the lies the world taught me about people who looked like your father. That's on me." There was silence. Then Rosa whispered, "Then start unlearning it. That's the only apology that means anything." The meetings continued for months. Some ended in shouting, others in silence, But each time, something in the air shifted, a little less hate, a little more humanity. Luna began helping at the community center, listening to other families, and Aaron, still working at the garage, spent evenings speaking to at-risk teens about fear and impulse. At one meeting, Luna overheard him telling a boy, "I was just like you, angry, scared, thinking the world was against you. Don't let fear make your choices. It never gives them back." That night, Luna realized she didn't see the man who had killed her father anymore. She saw the man trying every day to honor the life he had taken. On her graduation day, the gym was full. Rosa cried through the ceremony. Aaron sat quietly in the back, unsure if he even belonged there. When Luna's name was called, she searched the crowd, found her mother, then found Aaron. His face was wet, his smile small but proud. Afterwards, as Rosa lifted her phone to take a picture, Luna turned to him. "Ready, Dad?" The word fell naturally, but its meaning hit like thunder. Aaron froze, eyes wide, tears spilling freely. I don't deserve that," he whispered. "Probably not," Luna said with a shaky smile, "but you earned it." The shutter clicked. In the photo, a young woman in blue stood between two people, one who had given her life and one who had learned to help her live it. Aaron Blake would never escape what he had done. He didn't try to, but he had learned that redemption doesn't erase guilt, it transforms it. It turns pain into purpose and fear into responsibility. And sometimes, if the universe is merciful, it turns a trigger into a second chance. Because 10 years after he pulled the trigger in fear, the victim's daughter looked him in the eyes and called him Dad. This is Shadows of Justice, where crime meets compassion. Subscribe for more emotional true crime and redemption storytelling, where every scar tells a story worth hearing.